Hi friends, welcome back. It's finally done. I'm so excited. I can't wait to pivot the camera just a little bit and show you how amazing this painting looks. I think this is one of the ones that I am going to be ridiculously happy about for a very long time. I'm so excited with how this one turned out. I love the sea dragon. I did some little jellyfish. It is so pretty. I'm so happy. I did have a couple of recording issues, but we will get into that in a second. Let's get started. If I'm being perfectly honest, I don't remember if I've shown you guys how I do a sketch. So I thought it would be fun on this one to, since we're doing this whole real-time thing anyway, so to be able to show you exactly how I do these sketches. So I have some reference photos on my phone, and I'm referring to those, and I'm using very basic shapes to start. So trapezoids, parallelograms, triangles, circles, squares, shapes that are really easy and simple, and ones that are a little bit easier for you to understand and for your brain to follow. You kind of look at your reference photo and separate it into simple shapes, and then from there expand it or contract it into exactly what shape you want. And I know since I'm doing this with a white pencil, it's a little bit difficult to see exactly what I'm doing, but I'm hoping that you guys can kind of, get the gist of it. I am super excited to finally be doing a sea dragon. I did deliberately not mention whether this was going to be like a dragon or the seahorse style sea dragon, primarily because I hadn't decided which one I was going to do, and in the end I think I landed on something pretty close to the middle. So it's not really a dragon, but it's not necessarily a seahorse sea dragon either. You'll see at the end. So I use a pastel pencil when I'm doing my sketches, at least when I'm doing them on a darker color like this. If I'm just doing it on like a blank canvas or just a canvas that I've just put like one or two colors down on, and it's not going to be an issue if I can't get it off, then I'll just use a regular standard lead pencil. But if it's something like this and I want to be able to really make sure that I can erase those lines, I use the pastel pencils because just a little bit of water will take the pastel off of the gouache, which is why you'll see me lick my finger and wipe the canvas, because in the moment that's the easiest way to do it. I've considered just like keeping a damp paper towel in my lap or something to keep it a little bit more hygienic, but you know how it is. You think of these things and you just never do them. So I think in total I spent about 10 minutes doing the sketch. Sometimes I take a lot longer than that. I've had a couple of the foxes have taken me upwards of 20 to 30 minutes. I haven't really had any, aside from my actual like dragon mini painting I did a couple years back, that took any longer than that. But you know, I like to not spend a ton of time on the sketch and just start getting paint down on the canvas. I find that it really helps with not getting, I guess you could call it painter's block, because I will, if left to my own devices, sit here and edit and tweak and alter and change and just keep futzing with the sketch until the sketch is perfect. And the thing is, even if your sketch is perfect, your painting isn't going to be. So you kind of want your sketch to be imperfect so that you can perfect those lines in the actual paint. I think that's probably the best way that I know how to explain it. I do kind of wish that I had decided to do the sea dragon just a little bit bigger than what I ended up with. But the more I look at it, the more I'm happy with the size that I ended up with. I think at the time I was planning on adding a little bit more stuff to the top of the canvas, but when you see the end, I think you'll agree it doesn't really need anything else. It's content the way that it is, and as you'll see, it turns out really, really pretty. I am super happy with it. So again, we'll just kind of go back and forth. We'll add some white pastel, we'll take it away, we'll add some more here, we'll erase a little there until we're happy with how it looks. And then, like I said, I'm just gonna kind of throw myself in the deep end. I almost always start with the face, just because sometimes if I don't, I can get, I don't know how to explain this. If I start with the face, I'll keep going. Where sometimes if I start with the body, I can allow myself to get distracted and end up shifting my attention away a little bit and not necessarily finish the painting on schedule. I think a big thing with a lot of artists is that we are very easily distracted. I think there are some artists who can get really honed in and really in the zone, and I very much can get in the zone and get to where I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. And honestly, this canvas did that, and it happens a lot more often for me, especially when I'm painting the figures, if I start with the face, or at least start with the head. So I always try to start with the head because it gives me better odds of getting on a roll and not wanting to stop. Now, before we get much further, I'm actually going to explain that that is in fact what happened with this painting. I got on a roll. I got to where I really didn't want to stop painting. Everything was coming out exactly how I wanted it. It was looking super pretty. Everything was flowing. I was in the zone, and my camera died. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Switch batteries. Except that battery was dead too. So, as much as I wanted this series to be a fully real-time series where you would get to see every single step of a painting from start to finish, I was on a roll and I wasn't going to sacrifice that just for the video. So you'll get to see the majority of my doing this painting, but not the entirety of it. I wasn't going to sacrifice the painting just for the video. And I was having a blast. I was so enjoying how everything was coming together. And I didn't want to take a break and then come back to it and find that I wasn't loving it as much as I was when I started. So the end of this video is not exactly what I was hoping for this series, but you do get to see the end of the painting, and I do hope that it was still a fun series. I do have some more to show you, don't worry, this isn't just the end of my voiceover segment. So at this point in the actual painting, I am using a Prussian blue, and I am just filling in the body of the sea dragon. I have a bunch of little branchy fin-like things that I've sketched in on here as well. I am not filling those in with the Prussian blue. I am leaving those, and I'm going to do them a different color, which you'll get to see the start of at the very least in this video. And my thought at this point was that I wanted to start with one very basic color and just get a relatively thin coat of paint down just so that I could kind of finalize the shapes and get to where I was happy with the outline, happy with how everything was coming together, and essentially just that, just happy with the shapes and happy with that color in general. And my main thing with choosing a blue initially was that it would be pretty easy to go over it with a different color if I wanted to, especially with the background being blue. Wouldn't be a huge deal to change it. So then I added a little bit of white to my blue, and then I'm just kind of speckling and modeling that Prussian blue just a little bit, just to make it look a little bit more like scales, whether those be dragon scales or fish scales. I think the texture ended up looking a little more like a seal, which I'm very okay with. I really like how the texture came out at the end of this. I don't normally do creatures that have more skin than fur. I'm usually in the fur game, so I'm doing a lot of little lines, and you just don't have a lot of speckles. So it was kind of fun to experiment with a different texture and see just how different that texture is when it comes to blending and mixing and shading and everything. It's at this point where I'm doing this little bit of modeling that I've firmly decided that I do like the Prussian blue, and I'm going to stick with the Prussian blue. But because this is supposed to be a relatively fantastical creature, I don't want it to completely stay in the blue family. I want to have some other colors, some really bright colors, some really fun color. So I will be adding another color very shortly. But I do spend, a decent couple of minutes just working on getting that speckling exactly how I want it. I don't keep it solely to her back. I try to make it so it's more natural, so it is the densest on her back, and then it gets more sparse as it goes toward her stomach. So here is where I'm going to start adding the new color, and I was trying, I don't know why I thought this would be a good idea, but I was trying to get away with only using one paintbrush on the sea dragon, and I got through that far and I realized I hated that paintbrush for the lines that I was doing, and I had to switch. So now I've got the correct paintbrush, and it'll be a lot easier for me to fill this in. So I picked out a light peachy shade, which I added a little bit of extra white to, and I'm using that just on the tips of all of those spindly fin-like shapes. I'm kind of basing this off of a reference photo that I have of an actual sea dragon, like seahorse sea dragon, which he's kind of a Prussian blue, and then he's got stripes, and he has a little bit of orange right at the fringe. And I liked that. I liked that idea of having orange. And with it being based on an actual animal too, it seemed a little bit more realistic, which, I don't know, I thought that would be fun for this one. So that's what I ended up going with. I really love how the orange turned out. I think it looks kind of silly at this stage because, again, it's the ends that are going orange, and then I'll add a couple more colors to kind of blend them in toward the actual body of the sea dragon. So at the moment, it's just kind of floating chunks of orange surrounding a sea dragon, which, just looks a little silly, but trust the process. Trust the process. So at this point, this is about the point where I'm recognizing that I am in the zone and that I've gotten a really good workflow going. And again, I haven't even been working on it for that long at this point. I've cut out maybe 10 minutes of extra time that were just me staring at the reference photo, or honestly, it was mostly just me staring at the reference photo while I was doing the sketch, or staring at the reference photo and trying to pick out what colors I wanted to go with. You guys didn't need to see me staring at my phone blankly for an additional 10 minutes. So I did cut that little bit out of the video. I hope you don't mind. But yeah, it wasn't taking that long. It was flowing. It was one of those paintings where I had honestly been really nervous to get into this and to actually paint the sea dragon. It was getting very daunting every time that I would walk into my office and I would look at this painting. I would kind of start to freak out just a little bit because it's scary. It's a thing I've never done before. It's a creature type I haven't really done before. I don't do anything underwater really. I've done a couple of jellyfish, which I'm going to do on the left side of the canvas, but I haven't done anything like this before. Again, I haven't done anything with skin before. So it was getting really scary. And to find that when I finally sat down and made myself do it, it was just flowing together. It was amazing. It was honestly quite the confidence boost to have that happen, because the last time that I had a painting that was really scary was that ravine one that we finished on the channel recently. And I put that one off for, I think, a year. So to find that the next painting that was really scary and really daunting was one that I only put off for 2 weeks, that was really cool. It was really cool to see how much I've grown as an artist, that even a painting that was scary or daunting was one that when I sat down and started working on it, everything just flowed and moved and came together in such a beautiful way. That was an awesome feeling. And I really wish that I had been able to capture the whole thing on video, because I think it would have been really fun for you guys to see. But at least you get to see this far, and I'm glad you got to see all of this. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I will, of course, come on screen in just a minute here and show you the finished painting, and we'll talk about it just a little bit more. But I hope that you guys have enjoyed this series. I hope that it's been fun and inspiring for you. It has been for me. And I'm so excited to share this video and see what you guys think, even without you guys really getting to see the final little bits of how I put this painting together. But let's switch back to me being on camera, and I'll show you a little bit about it. Isn't she a beauty? I am, like I said, ecstatic with how this turned out. I am so sorry about the camera issues. I didn't really realize that the camera had stopped recording, and then all my camera batteries were dead and I was on a roll, so I went with being on a roll and I just finished. But I think it turned out so well, and I'm stoked. So I've done some jellyfish in the past, but they've always been on a much grander scale. So being able to kind of shrink that down and make them kind of like cute and little was very fun. But that sea dragon, oh, I love it. She's so pretty. She's just so pretty. absolutely love how she turned out. I'm just so, this is one of those paintings that I look at and I go, I did that. That was me. That was, oh, hey, that was me. Oh, that's weird. Weird. I did that. Odd. But it's so pretty and I love it. So, I also lost the clip for my mic, so I'm kind of stuck holding it until I get a new one. But I will try to pick this up so you can see a little bit closer detail what that sea dragon looks like. She is just super fun. I love how well the speckling details came out. She just came out so beautiful, and I'm just, every time I look at it, I'm extra happy with this one. I love how this turned out. Like I've said through this whole series, been wanting to do an underwater painting, was one of my big goals for this year. So this kind of checks off 2 boxes because one of my other goals was to get 8 full-size paintings done this year, and this is number 8, and it's underwater. So that is really exciting for me. I got to almost fill all of my goals for this year. A couple little ones that I didn't quite get done. Obviously, I still don't have the website up and going, but I think my plan is going to be to wait until I have at least 1,000 subscribers on here, and then I'll launch the website and really have stuff available. But as always, if you guys want prints of anything, if you want more information on any of my paintings, just shoot me an email. I'm happy to answer anything. You can also drop a comment down below. Sometimes I see them. I have a moderator. If it's an important comment, he'll tell me to go respond, I promise. You know how it is. Don't always look at the comments. I do check my email though, so if you email me, I will see it. Anyway, super happy with this painting. I hope that you guys loved this series as much as I did. I thought it was really fun to get to do a real-time painting series. Again, I'm so sorry this last video kind of fell short in the real-time sense because didn't really get to show you how all of this came together, but painting this sea dragon and the jellyfish probably took about 45 minutes to an hour, somewhere in there. So that kind of gives you an idea of just how long the whole process took. And yeah, I hope that you guys loved this series as much as I did. I hope that you love the painting as much as I do. I think she's gorgeous. And I will see you in a couple weeks with a brand new video. And I think we're going to start another big painting, but we probably won't do it real time. All right? All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week. 2 weeks. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more chill videos with art.